For millennia, early Indian societies operated entirely through oral tradition, managing trade, law, and religion through memory alone. But as these civilizations scaled into empires, they reached a point where spoken words needed a physical anchor. The first attempt at this record-keeping appeared around 1500 BC with the Harappan script. As seen here on this seal, the system uses over 400 distinct pictorial symbols. Yet, despite centuries of study, no one has linked these characters to a known language, leaving the Indus Valley records essentially silent. A readable history only begins around 300 BC with the Brahmi script. These carvings on the Ashoka edicts provide the first undisputed evidence of a decipherable left-to-right writing system. Unlike the Harappan symbols, we can actually read Ashoka's proclamations. Brahmi functioned as an abugida, where each character represents a consonant and vowels are added as specific marks. This logical structure became the source code for Indian literacy. Over time, it branched out to form nearly every modern script across South and Southeast Asia. With a standardized script finally established, Indian civilization moved past the limitations of memory, building a permanent, recorded intellectual history that could be preserved for thousands of years. Even with a common script ancestor, the spoken languages of the subcontinent followed two very different paths, eventually splitting into two massive linguistic families. In the north, the Aryan language family developed. These languages emerged from Vedic Sanskrit, evolving through various regional forms to become the foundation for modern tongues like Hindi and Bengali. To the south, the Dravidian family, including Tamil, Telugu, Kannada, and Malayalam, followed a completely different structural logic. These languages are geographically distinct and possess a history in India that is actually older than the Aryan family. This division created two distinct linguistic operating systems. Rather than isolating the population, these two frameworks allowed for an explosion of varied, sophisticated literature that defined the ancient world. This literary era began with the Vedas. Composed in ancient Sanskrit, these four collections served as the foundational rulebook for early Indian society, detailing the exact rituals and hymns required for religious life. Later, the Upanishads documented a shift in thought. They moved away from external rituals to explore inner consciousness, introducing the concept of Brahman, a single unifying principle behind the diversity of the universe. High-level philosophy is difficult to transmit across a massive, diverse population. For these abstract ideas to survive and influence daily life, they required a narrative structure that people could easily remember and share. The great epics, the Ramayana and the Mahabharata, solved this by embedding complex Vedic philosophy into massive, heroic stories. They transformed abstract concepts into the actions of kings, warriors, and deities. In the Mahabharata, the struggle for righteousness is dramatized through the Kurukshetra war. This epic conflict allowed the public to see the consequences of dharma, or duty, playing out on a massive cinematic scale. By using these stories as vehicles for philosophy, the epics translated elite knowledge into a shared cultural morality that guided the everyday lives of citizens. While spiritual texts defined personal conduct, a different set of rules governed the mechanics of the state. This required the pragmatic, strategic politics found in Kautilya's Arthashastra. Kautilya's work was a manual on this science of polity. He argued that to maintain a strong kingdom, a ruler must treat politics as a practical science, separate from religious or moral sanctions. He defined 7 essential pillars of the state: the king, ministers, territory, fortified city, treasury, army, and ally. If one failed, the structure fell. Kautilya prioritized the treasury and army as primary tools to protect the people and expand the kingdom's influence. If the Vedas and epics provided the moral soul of India, the Arthashastra provided the cold, administrative skeleton that allowed its greatest empires to function. As formal Sanskrit became the language of the administrative and academic elite, regional languages began to develop their own powerful literary voices. In the south, Tamil Sangam literature emerged as a collection of secular poems. These were produced in massive assemblies of poets who gathered to celebrate human emotions and local heroes, independent of the strict Sanskrit traditions.
Telugu and Kannada soon followed, entering golden ages of their own.
Under the patronage of the Vijayanagara emperors, court poets produced massive poetical works that made literature a central part of regional identity. This regional shift was also used by Buddhist and Jain traditions. By writing their sacred texts in Pali and Prakrit, they bypassed the elite language of Sanskrit to speak directly to the common people in their own dialects. These regional movements democratized knowledge, taking literature out of exclusive royal circles and making it a shared experience for the entire population. This pattern of linguistic evolution continued into the modern era, where the meeting of Indian and Persian cultures created a final integrated synthesis. Hindi and Urdu are the results of this blend. They share the same Indo-Aryan grammatical base, making them essentially the same language in everyday speech. The difference lies in their formal vocabulary. As this railway sign shows, Standard Hindi draws its technical terms from Sanskrit, while Urdu looks to Persian and Arabic. Yet, as the sign for Benares proves, they coexist in the same physical and cultural space. This long arc, from the silent seals of Harappa to the shared vocabulary of Hindi and Urdu, demonstrates the subcontinent's consistent ability to absorb external influences and rewrite them into a localized, enduring narrative.